probably familiar with things like under the bed restraints, or handcuffs, rope ties, spreader bars, and other things that are associated with bondage and restraint. But did you know that these things can actually lead to much better sex from a physiological perspective, not just a kinky one? I'm talking about better, easier to achieve, and more powerful orgasms just from incorporating these simple ideas of restraint and resistance in the bedroom. In this video, I'm going to explain how you can incorporate restraints to get the most out of sex and actually improve you or your lover's sexual response by activating different muscle groups inside of the body that are essential for pleasure and orgasm. In order to do this, I need to first introduce a couple of key concepts, and then I will explain how they apply in the bedroom, followed by a step-by-step guide in order to make it super easy for you and your lover to get the most out of restraints. Okay, first, we got to talk about the role of the pelvic floor in pleasure and orgasm. The relationship between the pelvic floor and pleasure is intricate, to say the least. It involves an interplay of muscles and tendons and glands and the nervous system. Each of these individual components contributes to the capacity for sexual arousal and pleasure and orgasm. And understanding how these elements interact is important to get the biological foundations of pleasure, particularly for women. First, let's talk about muscles. The pelvic floor is composed of layers of muscles that stretch like a hammock from the pubic bone in the front to the tailbone in the back. During sexual arousal and orgasm, the pelvic floor muscles contract rhythmically. Stronger, more flexible pelvic floor muscles can enhance sensations during sexual activity and increase the intensity of orgasms. Conversely, tension or weakness in these muscles can lead to discomfort or diminished sexual satisfaction. Next, let's introduce our friend, the nervous system. I actually think the word nervous is kind of a misnomer. The system isn't nervous. It's pretty much everything. It's excited, it's sad, it's tired, it's exhausted, it's shut down, it's engaged. But that's for another video. For now, all you need to know is that this system, which connects the brain to the rest of the body, is the command center driving the experience of pleasure. Sensory nerves in the pelvic floor transmit feelings of arousal and pleasure to the brain, while autonomic nerves regulate the unconscious actions of the pelvic floor and muscles, including the rhythmic contractions of orgasm. The pudendal nerve, in particular, plays a critical role in the sensory and motor functions of the pelvic floor. It carries sensation from the genitals and the anus and the other structures in the pelvis to the brain and controls the movement of the pelvic floor muscles. Stimulation of this nerve during sexual activity can enhance pleasure and can lead to orgasm. Because this nerve and various other nerves run through the muscles of the body, particularly the pelvic floor, engaging these muscles creates pleasure and excitation, and that is what leads to orgasm. For example, have you ever gotten turned on doing your Kegel exercises? Like watching my various videos on Kegels and reverse Kegels and all of the different exercises that you can do that involve squeezing your pelvic floor? That's because when you do that, when you engage those muscles, you are actually squeezing on the nerves that are engaged when we are turned on and going at it. And that's why engaging and strengthening the pelvic floor muscles through targeted movements can lead to improved sexual function, increased pleasure, and more intense orgasms. Using restraints, such as rope ties or bondage, in a safe and consensual manner allows us to engage these muscles in a way that lying on a bed, relaxed, simply cannot. Think of it like being at the gym. You use resistance and weights to engage different targeted muscles of the body, right? Well, using restraints in bed allows us to do the exact same thing. Let me break that down for you in 5 steps. Number 1, heightened physical and sensory awareness. When movement is restricted through the use of restraints, the body's sensory awareness is heightened. This is partly due in a reduction of the physical stimulus, which causes us to go inward and focus on what is available to us. Like when we take some options off the table, we're forced to focus on what's left over. It's sort of like when you wear a blindfold and it allows you to focus more on what you're hearing. With this intensified internal focus, it's possible to become highly aware of our bodily sensations, including those in the pelvic floor. And this awareness can make it easier to engage, relax, and manipulate those muscles intentionally, which can be beneficial for both sexual pleasure and orgasmic potential. On the physical side, just like when you're at the gym, once you create resistance and have something to push or pull against, you're able to engage your core and pelvic floor muscles intentionally. So much of what creates an orgasm is actually the act of the muscles inside of the human body pushing and pulling on those nerves that we talked about earlier. Well, restraints allow us to engage our bodies in such a way that we can increase the pleasure and sensation that we feel several times over. And if that were not enough, let's talk about number 2, psychological impact and relaxation. When done well, bondage and the use of restraints can have a significant psychological impact. In a nutshell, being bound in a safe way helps our bodies to actually deeply relax, which can induce a state of vulnerability and trust and closeness. And as we all know, relaxation leads to orgasm. As the person being restrained begins to release control over their body and the situation, they can sink deeper and deeper into pleasure. When the body relaxes, so do the muscles, including those pelvic floor muscles. And this relaxation is especially beneficial for any individuals who experience tension in their pelvic floor, which can actually interfere with pleasure and comfort. Number 3, enhanced body and mind connection. By shutting things off and limiting our range of options, using restraints encourages a more profound mind-body connection. This connection is fostered through the practice of mindfulness and present moment awareness as an individual's focus on their physical sensations, emotional responses, and the dynamics of power and control take over. This heightened state of awareness can make it easier to notice and explore the sensations in the pelvic region, including changes in muscle engagement, tension, or relaxation. For people who have trouble getting out of their head during sex, this is a total game changer. It's like you have no other choice but to get into your body, which is where all the big pleasure and giant orgasms come from. Number 4, exploring power dynamics. The dynamics of control and surrender inherent in bondage play can actually facilitate an even deeper connection with the pelvic floor. As counterintuitive as it may sound, the act of surrendering control empowers the individual to explore their body and sensations without making up stories in their head, or judging what's going on, or deciding what they're going to do next, because someone else is deciding what's going to happen next. Which brings me to number 5, intentional engagement and experimentation. With the heightened awareness and focus provided by restraints, you and your lovers can experiment more intentionally with engaging and relaxing the pelvic floor during sexual activities. This experimentation can lead to new discoveries about how your individual pelvic floor and your muscle control enhances your sexual pleasure. You can figure out how to create stronger orgasms, and you can actually improve your overall sexual health and wellness. Now, in order for all of this to work, it is crucial that any exploration of restraints and bondage occur within the framework of clear communication and consent and boundaries. Because in order to take away someone's ability to use, like, say, their hands during sex, we have to establish that we're going to be safe enough for them to really give over control to us. Otherwise, they're going to be in fight or flight mode and their hands have been taken away, and that is pretty much the opposite of what we want here. The good news is that when these conditions are met, using restraints offers a unique and powerful way to deepen our bodily awareness, including a more profound connection to our orgasm. Now for the how-to part of this video. In order to ensure that everyone's exploration is consensual and safe and pleasurable, please follow this simple step-by-step guide for using constraints. Step 1. You guessed it, communication and consent. Begin by discussing your interest and boundaries. Initiate a conversation outside of the bedroom about your desire to explore restraints. Share this video, share your interests, share your fantasies, and share your boundaries, what would have you feel safe in order to partake in this experiment. Make sure that all partners are interested, that they're informed, and they're excited about the idea. Then establish your safe word. Choose a word or a signal that either partner can use at any time to pause or stop the activity. A signal is important, especially if they're going to be facing away from you, or there's something in their mouth, or they have the tendency to lose their words and go pre-verbal during sex. This could be as simple as a hand motion. This ensures that everyone is going to feel safe and in control. Step number 2, prep and education. communication. First, select appropriate restraints. Choose soft, adjustable restraints while you're getting used to this. This is going to ensure comfort and safety. Avoid materials that can tighten unintentionally or cut off circulation. There are plenty of good restraints on the market for you to choose from that are made specifically for this. Arm restraints are a great place to start, and there are plenty of good resources online and at your local sex shop or dungeon where you can learn directly from the experts. Research together how to use the restraints safely. Understanding how to apply them and remove them quickly is critical for safety and trust. If you are using rope ties, make sure that you have a super sharp set of scissors nearby just in case. Number 3, set the scene. Create a comfortable environment. Ensure that the room feels safe and private. Have pillows and blankets nearby because you might want to make adjustments to the restrained person's position, and always prepare in advance for aftercare. Have anything that you need: water, snacks, a weighted blanket, ready for when you're done, because aftercare is essential to reconnect, ground the experience, and bring everybody's nervous systems back to default once the experience is over. Step 4, apply the restraints. Go slow. You're gonna wanna make this a sensual experience. Start by gently placing the arm restraints or whatever restraints you're using just tight enough without tightening them too much. Ensure that the restrained partner is comfortable and not experiencing any discomfort or numbness. Trust me, if it starts uncomfortable, it is only gonna get worse. And if you're numb from the beginning, you're not gonna be gaining that sensation back. It also could indicate that you're pinching a nerve or cutting off blood flow. So take that very seriously. After you've gotten started, you're gonna wanna check in frequently. So regularly ask your partner how they're feeling, make sure that they can feel all of their limbs and that they still feel safe and connected. Treat comfort and safety as paramount, number 1, and remember that you can stop at any time and you can always try again later. All right, this brings me to step number 5, engaging your core and pelvic floor. This is for the person being restrained. Start by focusing on your breath, slowing and deepening your inhales and especially your exhales. Breathing deeply can help relax and increase your bodily awareness, including the muscles that we're going to be targeting. You might even want to close your eyes for a second. Next, engage your core. Think of it like doing a sit-up. You're going to want to locate the muscles of your core and play with various positions and ways of using the restraints to do so in a way that feels comfortable. You're going to want to push or pull against the restraints or the headboard or the rope in order to get into these muscles. After you've done that, get into your pelvic floor. You can do this by imagining that you're stopping the flow of urine or squeezing down on something that's been inserted inside of you. Take your time and really play around to figure out what your unique body finds easy and pleasurable. There's no reason to push yourself further than what feels good. Sex is supposed to feel good. I said my piece. That brings me to step number 6, exploration and experimentation. The partner who is not restrained can explore different types of touch, pressures, and movements on the person who is restrained. The sky is really the limit here, so get creative. Just make sure that you pay close attention to the restrained partner's reactions and feedback, and make sure to keep the lines of communication open the whole time. A good rule to keep in mind is that their body is going to be giving you feedback the whole time. When they take a deep breath or they get little goosebumps all over their body, those are indications that something might feel really good. Continue to use your words and check in with them frequently. The restrained partner should feel empowered to give feedback, request changes, or use the safe word if needed. And that brings me to step 7, aftercare. Once you both feel complete with your experience, release the restraints slowly and gently. Move intentionally to allow the restrained partner time to adjust, especially if you've been in that position for a while. After they're out of the restraints, it is time to provide whatever kind of physical comfort the restrained person asked for when you discussed aftercare before you got started. Many folks like to engage in gentle cuddling or touching, but your partner might actually want some space to themselves, and that's okay too. Once you're both grounded, it's time to discuss the experience. Share your feelings, what you enjoyed, what you might want to do differently next time. Open communication here will only strengthen the experience and enhance the trust and intimacy between you. And finally, step 8. Reflect. Take some time in the following days to reflect on the experience. Consider what worked well and what could be improved. This will allow you to easily plan for future exploration. Based on your reflections, discuss any adjustments for future experiences, especially thinking about how you might change the restraints or position or what you did in order to really engage those muscles. Remember, sexploration is a journey and preferences can and will evolve over time. And remember, everyone's cores and pelvic floors and kinks and interests are different. different. It might take several tries to get a system that really works for you both, and that is okay. The gift of bondage is that it is endlessly creative, and the only limitation is your imagination. In summary, introducing restraints into the bedroom consensually and safely can open up new avenues of pleasure and intimacy. Make sure to prioritize communication, consent, and safety to enjoy a positive experience for everybody. If you learned something in today's video, make sure that you are subscribed to this channel. Thank you for watching, and I will see you here next week. Bye-bye.